Now, one of the things that you and I had talked about back when we had our first try at recording this was that you had spent some time, I think, interning at the FBI. And
Yes.
I'm assuming that was involved during your education time period, that maybe it was an opportunity to learn maybe about how to profile or how to interact. I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So my first experience with interning with the Bureau was when I was a senior in my undergraduate, and I was able to actually go to a residential field office in Tennessee and be able to help out, assist there. And then my second opportunity, which I was actually originally an alternate for, I wasn't meant to go like originally unless couldn't go. Someone couldn't go. I had the opportunity. I had like 2 weeks to figure out where I was going to stay in Washington D.C., and that was during my graduate degree. I was able to, for the summer 2008, to be at the headquarters and work in the Office of International Operations in a particular unit there.
Cool. I bet that was just an education in itself, just being in that environment and seeing the inner workings and how just what level of things that they have to deal with. I can't even imagine. I mean, we get what we get on TV, but I'm sure that's not maybe the truest possible picture of what they really do.
Yeah, yeah. The between what's seen on TV and what's actually done, there is some space between what's really going on for their work and in their lives, and it's just really interesting to see, uh, just to hear about some of their experiences and some people that I did work with as agents, they were actually on one especially was on some high profile cases that are very well known, and just being able to hear about things behind the scenes that he experienced was really interesting. Yeah.
And I'm not going to push because I would assume that there's like disclosures that you have to sign that, you know, obviously there's things you can't talk about, just like, in a lot of our jobs we have things that are just not for public consumption. So I won't press on
Yep.
it, but it just stood to reason that, for those exact reasons, there's information out there that's not going to be for public consumption. There's entertainment, there's kind of giving you an overview, an idea, but then there's the reality.
Yes, totally, for sure. And I had to get polygraph for both of my internships, and that was an experience in of itself. And I tell you what, they can be very precise, uh, and yeah, it's just a really interesting experience to be quite vulnerable and exposed. And I mean, the background checks that they had to do were quite, let's just say, very. Um, they do their homework, and the polygraph examinations were an interesting experience, especially for someone working in like the field of psychology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess so. I mean, not knowing a fraction of what those who study psychology know, I can only imagine what's going through your head as you taking everything you learned versus what they're throwing at you. Yeah, that's an interesting concept to think about that. Trying to be true to yourself and not overanalyze what they're asking you, kind of a thing.